I was 22 years old when I climbed into that Higgins boat on the morning of June 6th, 1944. Farm boy from Iowa. Never seen the ocean before I joined up. Now I was crossing it to invade Hitler's Europe. They called it the Atlantic Wall. Said it would be the longest day. They weren't wrong about that. We'd trained for months. Practiced beach landings in England until we could do it in our sleep. The brass told us the bombers would soften them up, that the naval guns would pound their defenses to rubble. We'd heard it all before, read it in the papers. This was it, the big push, the beginning of the end. I remember the guy next to me in the landing craft, Eddie Kowalski from Chicago. Keep joking even when we hit rough water and half the guys were puking over the side. He kept saying we'd be drinking French wine by nightfall. Had a picture of his girl, Mary, showed it to everyone. Kept it in a waterproof pouch close to his heart. The channel was rough that morning. Gray sky, gray water, our boat pitching and rolling. 32 men crammed in there, all of us trying not to think about what was coming. Some guys prayed, some threw up, some just stared at nothing. I could hear the naval bombardment, big guns from the battleships firing over our heads. It sounded like thunder that never stopped. Surely nothing could survive that, I thought. Surely. Then I heard it. Over the sound of the engines, over the waves, over the guns, a new sound. Sharper. Closer machine gun fire. We weren't even at the beach yet, and they were already shooting at us. The ramp dropped at 6:36 in the morning. I know the exact time because I looked at my watch just before. Don't know why. Maybe trying to hold on to something normal, something that made sense. That watch is still in a drawer somewhere back home. Stopped working years ago, but I can't throw it away. The ramp dropped, and the first 3 men were cut down immediately. Just like that. They didn't make a sound, didn't even have time to scream. The water in front of the ramp turned red. Sergeant Morrison was yelling, "Go, go, go!" And we went, because that's what you do. You move forward or the guys behind you die anyway. The water was deeper than it should have been. Our coxswain had gotten spooked by the fire and dropped us too far out. I jumped in and went under, the weight of my gear pulling me down. 80 pounds of equipment. My rifle, ammunition, grenades, rations. Everything designed to keep me alive was trying to drown me. I fought my way to the surface, gasping. The water was chest high, and we were still 200 yards from the beach. 200 yards of absolutely nothing. No cover, no concealment. Just open water and then open sand, and the Germans had every inch of it zeroed in. The noise was unbelievable. Bullets hitting the water sounded like hail on a tin roof, but louder, everywhere, constant. Men were screaming. The wounded were crying out. Some were calling for medics. Some were calling for their mothers. Eddie was right next to me. We locked eyes for just a second. Then his head snapped back and he was gone, face down in the water. The picture of Mary floating away from his body. I kept moving, wade through the water. That's all I could think, wade through the water. Get to the beach. The beach has to be better than this. It wasn't better. The beach was a killing ground, bodies everywhere. Some floating at the water's edge, some scattered across the sand, equipment abandoned, helmets, rifles, a boot with a foot still in it. I threw myself behind one of the steel beach obstacles. It gave me maybe 2 feet of cover. Bullets were hitting the sand all around me, kicking up little fountains. This is where my memory gets strange. Fragments, like pieces of broken glass, each one sharp and clear, but nothing connects properly. I remember a boy, couldn't have been more than 19, lying next to me behind a destroyed tank obstacle. He'd been hit in the stomach. He was trying to push his insides back in, and he kept saying, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay," over and over like a prayer. Like if he said it enough times, it would be true. I remember the medic who crawled over to help him. Thompson was his name. He'd made it maybe 20 feet before a shell landed close by. I never found enough of him to identify. The wounded were drowning. That's what nobody tells you about Omaha Beach. The tide was coming in, and men who'd been hit and couldn't move were slowly being covered by water. I can still hear them calling for help, their voices getting weaker as the water rose over their faces. The bluff, that goddamn bluff. The Germans were dug in up there with perfect fields of fire, machine gun nests, mortars, artillery. They'd had 4 years to prepare, 4 years to turn this beach into a slaughterhouse, and we'd been told the bombing would take care of it. The bombing had missed, hit fields inland. The naval guns hadn't touched the fortifications either, too worried about hitting us, so they'd held back. Every pillbox, every bunker, every gun was still operational. We were supposed to be off this beach in 30 minutes. 2 hours in, and we hadn't moved more than 100 yards. I saw Captain Miller trying to rally men near the seawall, saw him take a bullet in the throat. He died drowning in his own blood while his men watched, unable to do anything. Lieutenant Peterson took command, started organizing small groups to move up the bluff. "We're going to die here anyway," he shouted. "Might as well die moving forward." He was right. Staying on the beach meant certain death. At least moving gave you a chance, however small. I ran. Don't remember deciding to. My legs just started moving. Zigzagging across the sand, jumping over bodies, boys I'd trained with, eaten with, played cards with, all of them dead now, all of them just obstacles to run around. Made it to the seawall. Pressed my back against it, gasping. There were maybe 15 of us huddled there, out of the 230 men in my company. A kid next to me, private named Jenkins, was crying, not just tears, but full-body sobs. He'd lost his rifle in the water and was convinced he'd be court-martialed. Court-martialed. Like that mattered anymore. Like anything mattered except the next 30 seconds. Somebody found a gap in the wire. Peterson led the way, and we followed because that's all there was left to do. Getting up that bluff should have been impossible, but somehow we did it. Small groups, different routes, desperation giving us strength we didn't know we had. The Germans were tough, give them that. Professional soldiers, well-trained, well-positioned. But they were also spread thin, and once we got close enough to use grenades and get into their trenches, the fight became more equal. Still not fair. Nothing about that day was fair, but more equal. I killed my first man in a bunker overlooking Dog Green sector. He was young, maybe younger than me. Looked surprised when I came through the entrance. We both fumbled for our weapons. I was faster. Shot him 3 times. Watched the life leave his eyes. I threw up immediately after. Then I picked up his rifle. Mine was clogged with sand and kept moving. The fighting up top was house to house, hedgerow to hedgerow. Close quarters. Brutal. You didn't think, couldn't think. You just reacted. See movement, shoot. Hear German, throw a grenade. Survive the next minute, then the next. By late afternoon, we'd taken some of the high ground. The beach was still a nightmare. Bodies washing in and out with the tide, burning vehicles, the wounded waiting for evacuation. But at least the guys coming in behind us had a chance. At least we'd paid for a foothold with our blood. I found what was left of my company that evening. 38 of us, out of 230. The lieutenant was dead. The sergeant was dead. Most of the corporals were dead. We sat in a field sharing cigarettes, nobody talking much. What was there to say? A chaplain came around offering prayers. Some guys took him up on it. I couldn't. Couldn't square the idea of a loving God with what I'd seen that day. Still can't. We spent the night in a ditch, taking turns on watch. Every sound made us jump. Every shadow could be a German counterattack. Nobody slept, not really. Just closed your eyes and saw the beach again. Heard the screams again. The guns never stopped completely. Artillery duels in the distance. Machine gun fire somewhere down the line. The war grinding on, even in the dark. My breaking point came 3 days later. We were pushing inland, taking villages, fighting through the hedgerows of Normandy. It was different from the beach, but no less deadly. The bocage country, those ancient hedgerows, made perfect defensive positions. Every field was a potential ambush. We'd just cleared a farmhouse, found a German soldier hiding in the cellar. Just a kid, really, 17 maybe. He surrendered immediately, hands up, terrified. And I wanted to kill him, not in the heat of battle, not in self-defense. I wanted to put my rifle to his head and pull the trigger because part of me blamed him for everything. For Eddie floating face down in the water. For the boy trying to hold his guts in, for all of it. I didn't do it. Corporal Hayes stopped me, talked me down. The kid became a POW, probably survived the war, probably went home to his family. But the fact that I wanted to, that I came so close, that's what broke me. I realized I wasn't the same person who'd left Iowa. That farm boy with his simple ideas about right and wrong, good and evil, he'd died on Omaha Beach. What was left was something harder, colder, something that could kill without hesitation and feel nothing, or worse, feel satisfaction. I started having the shakes, not during combat. I was fine when the bullets were flying. But after, in the quiet moments, my hands would tremble so badly I couldn't light a cigarette, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep without seeing the beach. They pulled me off the line in August. Combat fatigue, they called it. Gave me 2 weeks behind the lines, like that would fix 4 years of memories compressed into one morning. It didn't fix anything. I went back to my unit in September. Fought through France, into Belgium, across the Rhine. Made it all the way to Germany itself. Got promoted twice, earned some medals they sent home to my mother. But I never stopped shaking. Not really. Just got better at hiding it. I came home in December 1945. Took a train from New York to Iowa. People kept thanking me for my service, shaking my hand, calling me a hero. I smiled and nodded and said the right things, but inside, I was screaming. Hero? What's heroic about watching your friends die, about killing boys who were just as scared as you were, about surviving when better men didn't? Eddie Kowalski's family contacted me. Wanted to know about his last moments. I lied. Told them he died instantly, didn't suffer, talked about Mary at the end. The truth, that his face was blown off by a machine gun bullet before we even reached the beach, that he was dead before he knew what happened, that I have no idea if he thought of Mary or anything else. What good would that truth do? So I lied. I've lied to a lot of families. It's kind of that way. The nightmares started about 6 months after I got back. Every night, I'm in that Higgins boat again. The ramp drops. I watch Eddie die. I wade through the blood-red water. I hear the screams. Sometimes I make it to the beach. Sometimes I drown. Doesn't matter. I always wake up gasping, drenched in sweat, my wife holding me and telling me it's okay. It's not okay. It will never be okay. I can't go to the beach anymore. Can't even look at the ocean. The sound of waves makes my heart race. 4th of July fireworks send me diving for cover. I'm 68 years old and I still check corners when I enter a room, still sleep facing the door. My son asked me once why I never talked about the war. He'd learned about D-Day in school, thought it was exciting. The greatest generation, they call us, the good war. There's no such thing as a good war. I tried to explain it to him, tried to make him understand that war isn't like the movies, isn't heroes and glory and stirring music. It's boys drowning in their own blood. It's killing someone and carrying that weight forever. It's surviving and wondering why you got to live when better men died. He didn't understand. How could he? You can't understand it unless you've been there, and God willing, he never will be. They say we saved the world, stopped Hitler, freed Europe, made the world safe for democracy. Maybe we did. The history books say we did. But I think about the price. Not just the ones who died. They paid in full. But the ones like me, who came home with all our limbs but left our souls on Omaha Beach. We're dying off now, us D-Day veterans. Every year there are fewer of us. Soon there'll be none, and this will all just be history. Clean, sanitized, heroic. But I need you to know the truth. Omaha Beach wasn't heroic. It was butchery. And the boy from Iowa who landed there that morning never came home. Something wearing his face came home instead. And it's been pretending to be human ever since.